I have way too much FOMO and we need to talk about it. So the biggest miss, no question today, and unfortunately it came to my attention when we were wrapping up our live trading session today with the LPP team, is CrowdStrike. So CrowdStrike is down another 12, pretty much 13%. Look at this. CrowdStrike was originally selling off last week on Friday due to the software issues and the glitch where they were presenting the blue screen of death. A bunch of different companies that use CrowdStrike were down. Supposedly, there's a bunch of lawsuits that are now opening up against CrowdStrike. So it's actually looking a lot worse than what was originally anticipated. Now, the really interesting about this is if you look at this on the 4-hour time frame, it's extremely oversold, but it continues to sell off. And the reason I say that this is such a miss is that I would have loved to short this, right? We talk about this all the time, that all that matters is direction. I mean, my intention is to day trade this. It's not to swing trade it. So, this would have been a perfect setup that if there was consistent progress on the downside, I mean, how much money could we have made from even not the open, right? Because I can never predict what's going to happen right when the market opens. But even, 15, 20 minutes after the market opened, this thing was still incredibly bearish and it sold off 4 to 5%. I did catch a very small move of it, and this is just because it ripped up a little bit. I opened up a small short position, about 20, it wasn't even $20,000. It was like 15,000, 17,000, something like that. I waited for confirmation. It sold back off, and then I closed my short to cover. It's testing the previous support range, and I want to see. I think the CrowdStrike is going to be a very interesting stock to follow in the next few days, because I think that there's going to be, for those that are into trading reversals that offer kind of like higher risk, higher reward type of approaches. This thing is testing previous support range. It could have a big rip up, right? Based off of previous patterns. It could continue to sell off, and it's most likely going to be a little bit more on the volatile side. So this stock is definitely not for beginners, but this stock is definitely one that, if you're good at getting in and getting out very quickly, CrowdStrike can definitely be a very proactive trade for this upcoming week. The only other one that I quickly want to talk about is the NASDAQ market. And I wanted to show you, not every trade that I take goes exactly according to plan. I ended up shorting Tesla as it became overbought, but I added too much. No, I don't even want to say I added too much, because I truly waited for confirmation. And that's one thing that I'm very proud of. During my live trading session with the LPP team, we waited for this thing to rip up, and then I waited for confirmation. And as it began selling off, I got in. And I got in when direction was favorable, but it picked back up. And guess what? Right? My trades are not always perfect. So I don't want to say that, could I have done something better? Well, yes, I could have tried to predict the peak, but then at that point, if it continued to rip up, the overall direction would have been against me. So yeah, there's small little approaches that I could have taken that maybe I could have not gone in as aggressive as I did, because there's a lot of consolidation here. But I waited for, not just for something to be overbought and have pullback potential, but I waited for direction to be in my favor, just like we talked about last week. And even then, right, we're kind of consolidating, so we're lacking progress, but I'm not putting myself in a position that I can't tolerate. I know that if this thing continues to sell off and it breaks below previous lows, I'm going to be back in the green, and I would love to add more when direction becomes favorable. So maybe if this thing begins to actively trade below 246, I can add more to my position size as direction becomes more favorable for my short. But I wanted to show you a trade that isn't always going according to plan, right? I show you guys my green trades, I show you guys my red trades, and that's the whole point of these recaps and my live trading sessions with the LPP team, is for you to get an inside look on what it's like to actually trade in this market, as I try to do this every single day, right? It's not that every day I take a trade, but every day I show up, I go live, I seek opportunity, and if something presents itself, I choose to, take action. And that's exactly what we have going on right now. Also, overall NASDAQ market, it looks like we did gap up, but we're selling off based off of recent movement, and direction's kind of choppy. I wouldn't say that market is incredibly bearish or market's incredibly bullish, because yes, we did gap up, but it doesn't look like it's holding well up here, but we're not proactively making lower lows and lower highs. So I'm indifferent about the NASDAQ market right now. I would say that the big focus for me is Tesla, just because Tesla tomorrow reports earnings. We'll talk about that in tomorrow's video. And then CrowdStrike. I think CrowdStrike is going to be a very lucrative one for those that are proactive traders and that are comfortable tolerating high risk, high reward type of plays, I think this one's going to be a very lucrative trade for this week, right? So very excited to follow up. Just wanted to let you guys know what 3 stocks I'm paying attention to this week. And yeah, let me know down in the comment section what you think. I'd love to have you for our live trading session. If you guys want to tune on in tomorrow, right at market open, I'm going to be going live, and it's the second link in the description down below if you want to sign up and join us right at market open. So appreciate your time. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, team.